So we're here with Deana from the Nashville Convention and Visitors Corporation. You just gave a great presentation. Can you sort of summarize a little bit what you were talking about?
Yeah, I just talked about how Nashville branded ourselves as Music City and the process that it took. And it's really been like a 12-year process. But it was, it's a good case study. It's so much better than we even expected it to turn out, if that makes sense. Like you have these goals and you want it to be good, but then it turned out even better than we thought.
So where did you start, and where did you end up?
Well, I would say that we still haven't ended. It's an ongoing thing, but we started with what makes us different. What are we known for? What can we really deliver on to our visitors? And it came down to music, and that our brand was music and our brand name's Music City, because it really represents all genres of music that are like either written here, performed, recorded. There's a lot of songwriting. It's actually the largest community of songwriters lives here. So it's the writing and the recording.
Yeah, and I really liked how you talked about finding your brand story. Can you talk a little bit about what it means and what it means to Nashville?
Yeah, our brand story is unique, and I think every destination has a story, and you just have to find it. And sometimes you have to go back really, really far. Like for us, we had to go back to the 1800s, and it actually started with Davy Crockett, and he was a congressman, but he was also the first fiddler. So he's really the first musician. And then we went to like 1850s, 1860s with the Fifth Jubilee Singers. That's an African-American choir, young students that came out of Fisk University. They were trying to raise money for the school, so they would export their music, their voices, and they would go around the world, and they actually went to the Queen of England, and they sang for her. And she said, "Oh, you're from that musical city." So legend has it that she was the first one to coin Music City. I don't know how true that is.
That sounds good.
Yeah, it sounds good. Adds to our story.
So what do you do to tell the story? Like, what have you done as a bureau to sort of get the story told in the city in a consistent way, and to really bring the brand out?
Everything that we do, we make sure that music is the undertone. So whether it's signage that we have a red music note mark that we use on everything. We put together a program that's live music venues, signage that's guitar picks, and it's where you can find the music in Music City. We have traffic light boxes that were boring gray traffic light boxes, and we went to Public Works and said, hey, let's wrap those. Let's put an image on there of some musician that lives here. Most of them are really well known, which is nice, that lives here, and then music comes out of that. So if you're standing on the street corner, especially if you're a visitor and you're trying to find your way, you have this nice music coming out of the light box.
So, the branding starts at the airport, and it's throughout the city, even in the hotels. So how involved are you in sort of making sure that people understand it, or does it at some point just start to live a life on its own?
Kind of both, really. In the beginning we were really, really involved, and we tried to start a lot of programs, and like music in the airport on the stages or the announcements, and really tried to encourage the businesses to get behind it. And now they just do it. I mean, they've embraced it, and they know we're known as Music City. Like even on the 6 o'clock, 10 o'clock news, they'll say live from Music City. I mean, it's awesome. So it's taken a long time, but now it does kind of have a life of its own.
That's great. And what were some of the challenges along the way as you were going through this journey?
Making sure that our community understood what it really meant to be Music City, because we had a perception of just country music, and not that there's anything wrong with it. I mean, we have great country music, and that's like where we started really. And we always said if we built a house, then the front door would be country music, and then you go in the house and there's all these other kinds of music. So we don't want to turn our back on it, but at the same time we don't want to be just country music. So getting the community to understand that, and everything's important, the imagery and the gifts that you give, and we're not about cowboy hats. A lot of people try to label Nashville as cowboy hats. That's Texas, and they should own that. But that's not us. So, sometimes those are challenges.
Yeah. So, in your opinion, branding or communicating your brand is the experience on the ground more important, or is the advertising more
Oh,
important?
experience on the ground. Experience on the ground. Because if you have the experience on the ground, then you can advertise, you can talk about what's going on. But you have to have that. You have to be able to deliver,
Right.
you know, what you're telling people.
Right. Great. So you've been a great host
Thank
for
you.
SoMeT 14
Yes.
US so far. It's first day at the conference. But what do you think so far?
Oh, it's awesome! We're just so excited to have you guys here. You know, it's a good way for us to not only show off the destination, but also to learn from other destinations, and that's important. You know, I don't think it's about competition. It's more about collaboration and sharing and learning, and that's real important.
Yeah, I always say, compete on your product, but share your knowledge,
Exactly.
because at the end, if all DMOs do well, the industry will do well, right?
Absolutely.
So, you're from Nashville. I always ask people, what do you think about Nashville? So what I'm going to ask you is like, what's the one thing people should know about Nashville that's just awesome?
Oh, the one thing is that we're Music City. There's music everywhere. There's the best music. 10 o'clock in the morning, you'll walk down the street and you'll hear some of the best music you've ever heard, and you'll think, why have they not made it? But everyone comes here to fulfill their dream, and there's only so many that can make it. So get out and experience it. I mean, you'll find some of the best music you've ever heard.
Yeah, I can vouch for that. I've thought that of the band that I saw. Like,
Good.
why have they not made it?
Yeah, no, yeah.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.